It's time for another Nebraska Prep Zone report. We are sponsored today by MD West One, Nebraska's most advanced sports medicine, orthopedics, neurosurgery, and spine care, covering Greater Omaha for over 70 years. I'm your host, Jake Anderson, and joining me as always, Mike Sautter. How are you doing today, Mike?
Doing pretty good, Jake. Doing pretty good today.
That's good. Let's get right into it today. We got a few news and notes before we preview some games. And the big one we should talk about here is the upcoming commitment from Norris tight end James Carnie. We've talked about him quite a bit on the show in recent months, so people know what he can do and why this is a big deal. He's down to 3 schools, though.
Yeah, he has a top 3 of Iowa, K-State, and Nebraska. Nebraska just offered on Monday, and really Carney setting that commitment date of the 12th, which is this coming Monday, had a huge part in it. I think played a part in it. I think he told me that he thought that played a part in it as well, as far as getting an offer. Him and Scott Frost exchanged, I guess, voicemails or phone calls back and forth for about a week, maybe a little more than a week. And recently, the last little bit here, and it was something they finally connected on the phone on Sunday, and he offered him, and then Coach Becton, the tight end coach in Nebraska, kind of followed up with him on Monday, and then that's when he announced that he got an offer. Was on Monday. We'll be interested to see what he does.
I did think that was kind of funny. It seemed like a bit of a power play by him. He announced the commit date before even having the offer from Nebraska, even though there were kind of some misconnections. But it wasn't a little interesting, okay, well, I'm committing whether you're in the boat or not.
Right, and he had really good options anyway. You know, Iowa and K-State, Boise State, Wyoming, those were kind of the 4 options before Nebraska. Those are Pittsburgh. Pitt's a top 25 team, really good team this year. So those were his options before Nebraska offered. And then he's kind of just been waiting on the Nebraska offer for basically the whole summer. Even after he committed to Miami of Ohio, Nebraska was still in contact. Nebraska's been in contact with him for a long time. It's just a matter of, Nebraska now already has 2 tight ends in the class, and Thomas Fidoni and A.J. Rollins. How does Nebraska see him? Well, they offered him as a tight end. Does that mean Fidoni could change positions, maybe move to a wide receiver, or Rollins on the defensive side or something? Who knows? Or are they comfortable taking 3 tight ends? They're all 3 a little bit different. You can play him on the outside. Fidoni basically can play anywhere. Carney, very similar. Like, he can be an outside kind of threat, red zone, big target threat guy. And Rollins similar too. So it'll be interesting to see it. He did just visit Kansas State over the weekend, saw them play Texas Tech, said he enjoyed it, enjoyed his time there, had fun, enjoyed being able to watch a college football game in person. And to me, this is just me. He had
in Chris Kleiman's offense there at K-State. They did just last year get Will Swanson from Papio South. So getting in a little bit with Nebraska pipeline there. And, K-State is close to 2 hours away from him.
Yeah, it's only 2 hours away. Connor Riley, the offensive line coach at K-State, one of the best in the country. He's fantastic. He's a Creighton Prep grad. He has strong ties to Nebraska, obviously, from his time at North Dakota State. He's always recruited the state, has good connections. So K-State's a team that will continue to recruit here, even if they win out on Carney or not. I think it's close to Lincoln and Omaha. It's not that far away. Nebraska can't take everybody. And it's not, necessarily going to be a fit for everyone at Nebraska. So we'll see. Right. And K-State is doing a good job, and their coach isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So we'll see. I do think for Carney, I think it's probably down to K-State and Nebraska. Iowa obviously is I think safe to say tight end U and the success they've had there. And they were the first power conference school to offer him, and they're the catalyst for him decommitting from Miami of Ohio. So,
and that's where it's interesting to me. The Hawkeyes don't have a tight end commit in this class. Like you noted, tight end U with Noah Fant recently out of Omaha South. And Nebraska getting in there, it kind of does seem like Nebraska just wants to block him from going to Iowa. But also it's more than that, because Carnie is way talented, and, depending on how you rank those tight ends, it could be personal preference if he's the top one. He's obviously the top one in state with Fedoni and Council Bluffs, but, him and Rollins is an interesting debate.
Right. And, the thing for me that as far as Iowa's concerned, it's a little farther away. Pittsburgh was in that mix. Now, Pittsburgh's like, 12, 14 hours away from him, from home for him. And that was just a little too far is what he told me. So, does he like to be close to home, wants to be close to home? That's why I think, and just the recent visit to K-State, that's why I think it's those two over Iowa. It could be Iowa. I don't know. If I was a tight end, it'd be pretty hard to turn down Iowa if they wanted me to go there. I know that.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be an interesting one to watch. And again, he's committing Monday, October 12th. So I'm sure we'll have a recap of that on next week's show. The other commit we should talk about from that Bellevue West basketball factory, Frankie Fidler staying in state, going to UNO.
Yeah, it's a really good get for UNO or Omaha. He checks a bunch of boxes for them. He's pretty versatile. He can play the 3 or 4. He is an excellent passer, can stretch the floor out to beyond the 3-point line. It is an excellent fit. He was one of the kids that really, really, really was hurt as far as recruitment is concerned, and it's a major coup for Omaha. Not having a regular AAU season where he can go out and play actually live in front of different college coaches. Because I think if he did that, his recruitment probably would be, a little higher and have a lot more schools interested and offered and all that stuff. And I'm not saying he's settled on Omaha at all. It's just, they're pretty fortunate, I think, to get him. He's a great get for them. Great. It's a great fit. He's a good player. Should be an immediate guy, like help them right away guy. So as a freshman, and is a winner. Obviously, he's been on a bunch of winning teams, whether it be summer and in his high school career, playing alongside Chucky Hepburn, has certainly helped him as well. So it's a really nice fit for Omaha. He checks a bunch of boxes. He'll need to get bigger and stronger, probably a little better with his handle. He can push the ball up the floor if you need him to and do those things. So pretty versatile fit. It's a really big one. Omaha has recruited him for a long time. They were the first one to offer him. They've been on him forever. Assistant coach at Omaha, Pat Eberhardt, was the lead recruiter there and did a really nice job recruiting him. So it'll be fun to kind of see him stay around Omaha for his college career. They're doing a nice job trying to get kids to stay home. So and that's a pretty big get for them. I think they can probably use that in as recruiting continues to and the talent continues to be good around Omaha. I think they can use Frankie Fidler as an example, along with Iowa Akinwole and other guys that they've had there.
Yeah, Darren Hansen and his staff has done a great job of keeping those in-state guys in-house and, benefiting from, the talent here, kind of the lower level, not necessarily lower level guys, but guys like Frankie Fidler. Let's jump to some game previews. First one out the gate here, your game of the week for Pinnacle Bank. Number 4 Elkhorn South coming in 5-1 against number 7 Gretna 6-0. And that seems low for Gretna. They might be the 3rd best team in the state.
Well, they had a tough game against Scott. And, basically it was Sam Scott's show on Friday night for Scott. He had a fantastic game. He was great. So we'll see. It's another step up level of competition, obviously, for Gretna. Their first 5 games that they didn't face this level of competition. And Elkhorn South has playmakers all over. They have one of the better, more experienced lines on offense and defense, really, because they've kind of played both ways with Teddy Prohaska, Isaac Zadiska, and Cooper Taylor. Those guys have been now 3-year kind of starters for them on the offensive line. Gretna has a really good line too, and that's something I don't think we probably talk about enough. Garcia's a really nice player for them, and they have a couple other big guys. So the matchup is really Zane Flores. Is he going to be able to throw the ball with the efficiency that he has, against a little bit better athletes. When I say that, I mean, Mekhi Nelson Douglas is probably Elkhorn South's best defender. He's committed to Northern Illinois. Sorry, geez. And he's now back, and he had to be quarantined for 2 weeks and all that stuff. So he missed some time. He also shares time at running back with an explosive running back in Ben Warren. Bo Weisler's back. Looks like he's healthy after kind of being injured the first game of the year against Millard West. He's linebacker, running back guy. Dylan Krause is back also for Elkhorn South. He missed about a game and a half, I guess, or some time. And he's an explosive guy too. So he can really QB run game. He's really good in that. And he's throwing, Guy Hunt's a really nice slot wide receiver, slot/wide receiver, I guess, slot back wide receiver for Elkhorn South. So they have the athletes to match. The line play is going to be pretty good and pretty neat to watch. Can Gretna have success running the ball like they did against Scott? Mick Huber was fantastic against Scott running the ball, 18 carries for over 150 yards, I think, and just 1 touchdown. And the 2 senior wide receivers for Gretna are extremely undervalued. You look at high school and you're like, okay, we need to get big plays, and big plays normally come in the running game for most schools. For Gretna, it's come in the passing game because Zane Flores is so accurate. He's at almost 73% passing and almost 1,500 yards in 6 games, and has only thrown 1 interception. Their offensive line's only given up 1 sack all year, I think. But the 2 wide receivers, Trevor Marshall had a huge game against Scott, and Jackson Alexander had a nice game too, with 90-some yards. Those 2 are averaging over 17 yards per catch. So, those are big plays, huge plays, in particular in the passing game. So weather should be fine. Shouldn't be a big deal on Friday night. So that'll be nice. Trevor Marshall is 9 touchdowns and almost 700 yards receiving. Alexander's only played in 5 games, and he has 6 touchdowns and over 500 yards receiving too. So a lot of athletes sprinkled all over the field, but the line play is going to be obviously important. And I think, you give maybe a slight edge just because of experience and bigger games like this to Elkhorn South, but Gretna's line is pretty good too. So it should be a really, really fun matchup.
And you'll have that one covered with it being your Pinnacle Bank game of the week, as well as Stu Pospisil. So we'll have you covered across the board. Our other game here to watch, Class A, Millard West coming in at 1-4 against number 2 Bellevue West 3-0, and Bellevue West has again kind of had some schedule issues. But let's talk about Millard West here coming in at 1-4. I think that's more of the shocking thing to some people.
Yeah, they've been, kind of decimated with injuries. They've had to go young, freshman quarterback, because they lost their starting quarterback for the year. I think it's going to be kind of a challenge for Millard West going forward the rest of the year. They play one of the toughest schedules every year, and it's no different this year. Opening night kind of lost on a game-winning field goal to Elkhorn South, and it's kind of not been great for them this year, obviously, but they are they do have one of the better coaching staffs in the state. Coach Peterson does a really nice job. So maybe they can get it figured out some way. You got to try and limit possessions as far as not giving Bellevue West the ball or having their offense be on the field that much. Just not sure how they're going to be able to get it done against a super high-powered Bellevue West offense with Keegan Johnson playing basically everything. So, he played wide receiver and can play some wildcat quarterback and some running back, and he's touching the ball a number of different ways, and which is great. And then you obviously have the two big kind of slot receivers / tight ends and Micah Riley and Caden Helms. Oh, and then you have a freshman wide receiver that's kind of a phenom in Davon Hall. And not to mention a really nice running back in LJ Richardson. So
embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, I think, for Millard West to get that done. But the way to do it is just limit possessions and, hope Luke Johansson maybe throws some interceptions or guys tip balls or something like that.
Yeah, we've got a good Class B battle here. Number 3, Elkhorn 5-1 against number 5, Bennington 5-1. What should we watch for here?
Yeah, Elkhorn has they're old. I mean, they got a lot of seniors that have played a lot of football. Aiden Young, Drew Christo, Isaac Robinson, Gannon Greger. Hayden Steck is a really nice player too for them. The matchup is sort of intriguing. I mean, Class B is what I like to call a beautiful mess, specifically at the top, because you have your Elkhorns and Benningtons playing each other, and then you have Waverly and Scott played each other, and Bennington and Scott played each other, and I'm forgetting Hastings is out there that likes to throw the ball around. I'm probably forgetting someone and going to get yelled at for it, but Class B is a, like I said, a beautiful mess. There's 5, 6, 7 teams that definitely have a shot to win it all. Definitely are good enough, and they're just kind of beating up on each other. But Bennington's a quarterback that we don't talk about, I think, at all, is Cale Bird. He's a senior. He's thrown for over 1,200 yards, almost 1,300 yards. He has 14 passing touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. And Caden Blum is their big play receiver with over 400 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and that's only on 16 receptions. So he's averaging just over 25 yards per catch, and that's pretty big play, right? And then not to mention you have kind of do everything guy Tyler LeClaire with as a running back and defender, I guess I'll say, linebacker, safety, can do everything. He has 70 total tackles and leads the team in tackling by over 20 tackles on the season. So he's a phenomenal athlete. It's a really neat matchup. We'll see if LeClaire and those guys can just run the ball, and we'll also see if Aiden Young obviously he's super fast and has great speed. So it's a really intriguing matchup. It'll be kind of a Isaac Robinson at middle linebacker, who's a nice player, against Tyler LeClaire, trying to stop him from running the ball. So pretty neat little kind of game within the game there.
Definitely. And then we've got a couple Class C1 games to watch here. Number 3, Adams Central 6-0 against number 7, Carnie Catholic 4-1. What's the game inside the game here?
Yeah, Carnie Catholic has their one loss came to a really nice St. Paul team that loves to run the football with Eli Larson. Well, guess what? Adams Central loves to run the ball with Hyatt Collins. Just a sophomore, has 872 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. Cam Foster is really steady and a really good athlete at quarterback. He plays some defense too. So it might be a tough road to hoe for Carnie Catholic for their defense, I guess. If you just look at the comparison of teams and how they like to play, Adams Central clearly likes to run the ball first right now, which is a credit to their coaching staff because they threw the ball a ton in the last couple of years. So Carney Catholic's going to have a big game from Heinrich Harburg. He has 9 touchdowns passing and 4 rushing and 872 yards total on the year. So that matchup is, can Kearney Catholic keep Adams Central's offense and Hyatt Collins on the bench, right? Can they kind of chunk their way or dink and dunk their way down the field? Or maybe it's big plays, but if you just look at what St. Paul did to Kearney Catholic, it's very similar sort of team coming in Adams Central.
And then our last matchup here, number 4 Wahoo 4-1 against number 2 Ashland Greenwood 6-0.
Sort of similar here, right? So Wahoo's one loss was to Adams Central. Adams Central loves to run the ball. Or obviously they run the ball more with Collins, like I said. Well, Matthew Schuster, the one known Nebraska walk-on commit for the 2021 class, he has 862 yards rushing and 13 touchdowns and is averaging almost 8 yards per carry. So that seems pretty good, right? So it's when you look at it and similar type of teams, that's going to be can Wahoo slow him down or at least kind of hold him in check a little bit, right? Cale Jacobson is back at quarterback, missed a couple games due to an ankle injury. He is, again, a do-it-all kind of guy. He can pass, he can run, he's a great athlete. So him coming back sort of steadies the ship a little bit. Maybe they can throw it a little bit more with him. Lane Zimmerman's their best or top wide receiver right now with almost 400 yards and 6 touchdowns receiving. But you look at this game, it likely is going to be played in a box. And what I mean by that is, within that 4, 5, 6 yards of the line of scrimmage. And can Wahoo slow him down? Coach Fox does a great job at Wahoo. They're the defending champs and have some really good athletes. Kind of not rebuilding after state championship, but sort of reloading this year, I guess, a little bit. So we'll see, right? We'll see if they can slow Schuster down.
Should be a good battle of the trenches. And that kind of just sums up this week. Good battles and matchups to watch. Looking forward to it. And until next time, thanks for listening.
As the official team doctors for high school and college teams across Greater Omaha, MD West One Sports Med Doctors can get you back into the game stronger than ever. Meet the Sports Med team at mdwest1.com or call 402-390-4111.